That is actually Lyrilusc getting the chance to shine, and Vanquished Soul makes its first appearance out of the week. Don't beg 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out more on this content. The first breakdown we're going to be looking at here is going to be the Yamaji Wind Cup here. What's very interesting about this was Lyrilusc came out of nowhere and actually stole the victory away from this, which I don't actually know what I was thinking when I was looking at this event. I was like, wow, you know, like Lyrilusc actually locked down a pretty big W. That's actually pretty impressive. We also had Fallen of Albaz out here. You know, I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen Fallen of Albaz do much of anything as of late. And the fact that, you know, it's back doing its thing, it's good. We also had, of course, the standard purely player entering into the competition. I mean, at this point in time, this deck is the standard metagame. Good stuff. And then we had one Mathmech player out here continuing to grind against the competition and do all of the OTKs that you're really used to seeing. All right, let's pass on over to top deck list. Winning the event here was how fast can my Tri-Brigade package work with my Lyrilusc cards in order to make the strongest possible boss monster. I mean, let's be honest here, this deck still has the Simorgh Link monster, which means you can actually beam out a Apex Avian and kind of laugh at the opponent. It's not fair, I understand that. This deck is also sporting off triple copies of DD Crow. I mean, the biggest thing I can tell you about this deck is how fast can you see the DD Crows? How fast can the power cards actually matter in the current state of the format? And of course, I mean, is Utopic F-Zero going to mess up your deck's game plan? If the answer is yes to any of those, you're probably going to be in a bad position. But overall, I mean, it's kind of nice to see that the recital stuff is actually doing well. I know a majority of players kind of toss the deck aside, but honestly, it's very, very refreshing to see what ideas we can actually bring to the table here. Next up is, why is Fallen of Albaz got branded Fusion Limited in the OCG? Well, you know, even with all the limitations and things that this deck has going for it, this deck still got the chance to see a second place finish out here. Now, branded Fusion deployment, all of the good standard power cards for this are actually really good. I noticed that this deck is not even touching the reveal the new monster from the extra deck, try to do a specific fusion summon with it. You don't even have to really worry about that. And we're only playing one Quemon here. Of course, you're maxing out on triple Blazing Cartesia. We still are doing Bysteel shenanigans in here because you still want to drop your one Lubellion. Lubellion is still an amazing card for this deck, especially, you know, when you can set up whichever of your branded cards that you need, whether or not it be branded Regained or branded the Trap card. I think this build is just playing Regained, though. No, it's actually not even playing any of them. Okay, well, that's kind of an interesting choice. This build feels very, very interesting. Next up here, we have purely... This build is playing 5 Shaddoll monsters. That's a lot more than I have seen in a lot of these variants. A lot of them are just usually playing like Squamata with the dragon, or excuse me, with the beast, just to get the free draw power. This build opted to not even feel the need to do any of those. Now, this is kind of what I'm more used to seeing in terms of the deck. You know, the red reboot actually in the main deck. Oh boy, that's cool. Okay, yeah, and then of course we're playing one of the new Purely Trap. A lot of the builds have opted just to not even play the new Trap. I think most players are still opting for double Purely Leap, because Leap is also a really strong card for this deck. Though being able to search for Dimensional Barrier off of Thrust is really good. Also, I mean, main decking the red reboot is going to help this deck out a lot. Not being able to get debarriered is like this deck's dream for getting the chance to get off the ground. So, yep, just a normal day out here. And then, of course, we have Mathmech here. Now, we are playing one Gachakuri. Well, we're essentially playing Adignister at this point with, you know, your Mathmech package. Honestly, the fact you have access to all the Firewall Dragons in this deck has kind of turned this deck into like a Firewall-esque turbo deck. And I think it's really cool. We are side decking the Update Jammer up there because this deck doesn't really have room to play anything else. Like, kind of keep that in mind here when you're going through like your full combo lines here, because, you know, if you're going to access every card down on that extra deck, especially, you know, the Code Talker Link 1, you've got a lot of things to do for this. And that also goes to prove, how generically good the Mathmech cards were over time for a deck like this. But overall, I think that this is by far one of the cooler innovations that we have seen out here. Now we're going to pass on over to event 2. All right, for the second event here, that is Vanquished Soul actually getting some representation here. Vanquished Soul out of this whole week has just taken a backseat. Like, Vanquished Soul was doing a lot, and then the deck just ran off into the distance. I don't know what actually happened. I guess it just can't mid-range control anymore now that another bully like Altergeist is back in the format. We also had Tearlaments for this event. Oh boy, Tearlaments. You gotta love how that deck still continues to stick around out here, even with, like, as much as it's been turned into a one-of pile. We also have Altergeist getting another showcase. Altergeist had a fantastic showing this weekend. It's actually kind of impressive. And then, yes, that is Dragon Link out here sporting off another top cut finish. And, I will say that the deck has struggled quite a lot, but it's actually very cool. All right, let's pass on over to deck profiles. The first list that we're going to be looking at here is Vanquished Soul. Now, the first thing you're going to notice here is that is a lot of Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherry targets in that extra deck. This player does not want to risk losing to a majority of the heavy hitters in the metagame. That's why Ancient Fairy Dragon, you have Mathmech, Scareclaw. Yeah, this duelist isn't risking it. And of course, this deck actually gets to play There Can Only Be One and Skill Drain. It's going to get a lot of the standard control aspects that you're very used to seeing out here with a deck like this. And I think kind of going forward, you will continue to see this deck kind of develop a little bit more for its anti-meta game. But obviously, I do think the TC Boo is one of the best things that this deck could have going for it. Also, being able to, like, do a full Link 1 combo into, like, some multiple forms of interruption. Also, I don't think a lot of people have really learned how this deck functions yet. It is actually a very, very, very cool control deck at the end of the day. So, very, very cool to see that Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherry's control is doing good. Next up here, we have, Tearlaments. I say this every single video we talk about this, but this week the deck is being held together. I see that we're playing the Vices Synchro now. Yeah, we get access to Revolution Synchron, which is another little piece of holding this deck together. It's barely functioning out here. And yes, that is a Naturia Beast being sighted down there. I can't tell you that if a tier player made Naturia Beast against me, I would just sit there with the dumbest look on my face going, wow, I can't believe that this actually happened. And the sad part is, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. All right, like, once that actually gets resolved, it's going to tear you apart. But the Hodgepodge combo pile has actually got another chance to shine here. And, for as many engines and things that you've put together in this deck, and for how much it has, struggled out here, this is the current iteration. So good stuff for this. Next up, we actually had some Altergeist out here. Now, we are playing a triple dimensional barrier in this. Holy moly, man. This deck has been forced to just stop purely as much as it can. I see we're also playing, is that Pantheon shot down there in the side deck? Okay, interesting. Of course, one multi-faker still. We are playing the one Goonguri. I haven't seen a lot of these builds actually try out the one Goonguri, but okay, of course we're playing the triple Pukuri in this deck. Yeah, the fact that Pukuri has just added that extra layer of sauce to this deck, they literally just went back and they looked at Pukuri in their binders and they're like, yes, I can finally play this card again. And I think that's actually pretty cool. We've come to that far in terms of returning back to the good old stuff. So, yeah, Altergeist returning back with a vengeance in this format. Okay. You like to see it. Next up here, we actually have Dragon Link. Now, Dragon Link's iteration in the OCG is, I see more... I see that we are playing the giant cat down there. For Ghost Reaper. And of course, we got to have access to the Ghost Reaper, right? Like, it is like the best go-to card that you can actually have in this deck. They do get double Striker Dragon, which is incredibly nice. I really wish that our version of the deck got the chance to do that as well. Branded Regained shenanigans as well. Thank you, What Remains of the Bysteel package. You're actually pretty good. I don't really have much else to say about this list. I think that this looks pretty on point, actually. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.